Hello. What is going on? Hello, investor. Welcome to the Asset Attitude channel. This is the multiple opportunities, reinvest earnings. That's more place to develop a wealth mindset, learn how to make money work for you and increase your value. I've been sent emails of people wanting me to react to some content that was put online. That's the faith factors. These males are looking for concubines, not wives. And also DOD, that's Deacons of Defense's response to having a simple solution to the dilemma for dinner dates. I'm going to say this much. They're both right. And the problem is, I believe that we as people, we don't want to listen to each other and we don't know how to date. And here's what I mean by it. And I'm not saying this about faith or DOD. It's just that if you get, let's say, 10 people on a YouTube panel, use StreamYard, 5 men, 5 women, different walks of life, different races, different ethnicities, maybe even the same race and same ethnicity. Maybe they all grew up in the same place. If you ask each of those people, 5 men, 5 women, about what a woman brings to the table, you're going to get at least 5 different answers. If you ask them, what's the purpose of dating? You're going to get 5 to 6 different answers. And nobody's going to agree. Now, the reason why no one's going to agree is because people have intentions. And so here's the theory on that. See, everybody goes into a situation and they're like, well, I want to make sure that I'm safe. I want to protect myself. I don't want to be screwed over, but I do want to get something out of it. But most women want to get out of going on a date is they want to have a good time. They want to get out of the house. They're bored and they want to have fun. Sometimes buy an outfit, do her makeup, which costs money, get her hair done, put on a wig or get hair extensions, which costs money. And she just wants to have fun, go out, no strings attached. And she wants to possibly make this guy into a friend and maybe do this all the time. And of course, have him pay.
Bruh.
Or she may agree to go Dutch if they're going to keep doing this as friends, as if they're being food critics. That's how a lot of women think. A lot of women are like, hey, he wants to go out for dinner. There's a place I've been wanting to go to, but I don't want to go by myself. I ask him, does he want to go? And I'm expecting him to pay. When guys are asking women out, they're not really wanting to go out to food test. They're not wanting to go out just to have a good time, to get out the house. To a lot of guys, date, which is D-A-T-E. I got this from the Faith Factor. D-A-T-E means D at the end. Okay? So, in my opinion, nobody's wrong for what their intentions are. I think the issue is that we as people, both men and women, we're not upfront with what we want. We're not clear with what we want. We just kind of assume, and assume, ASS, means making a out of you and me. So everybody's assuming things, and then here comes the check. Sometimes the guy's like, okay, we're going to split this, right? And she's like, no, I expected you to pay. You asked me out. Or let's say the guy pays the ticket, and he's expecting to take things back to his place, take things a little bit further. And she's like, no, I'm not really feeling you like that. So we as men, majority of us, we are visual. And with being visual, we are immediately attracted to a woman. Sometimes even sexually attracted to a woman. Now, this is a very in-depth conversation. It's very deep. But to just do broad strokes and keep it surface level, majority of men, they see a woman, they already are sexually attracted to her. And they already are wanting to have sex with her. Whereas most women, when they see a man, they feel the same way. However, a woman will still entertain a man because she's bored, because she wants a free meal, she wants to have fun. She might even have a whole husband at home and a whole boyfriend, but she just wants to go out and have fun and have a good time. Yeah, I know. So a lot of women think that guys are asking them out for dinner because he just wants to have fun and have a good time. He just wants to be a good friend. And so there's other scenarios and variables involved in that. But when it boils down to it, people are not upfront with their intentions. So most of the time, I'm going to say at least 90% of the time, it's the man asking out the woman. So we as men, and I know fellas, you guys are going to be mad because you got to be thinking, hey, Kay, why do I have to lay out my intentions? Why do I have to be the one? Well, you're sliding in her DM. You're asking her out. You want something from her. So you are already at somewhat of a submissive role because you're seeking her for something. So because you're seeking her for something, you have to control the narrative, control the experience, and you got to be upfront with what you want.
Don't make me laugh.
I know what you're saying. If I'm upfront, then the kitty will dry up. And that's just the risk you have to take when you're wanting something from someone. And a lot of guys are going to be mad when a woman turns them down or goes on a date and doesn't give them D at the end, DATE, date. But most of these guys are not blowing up at a job interview when they get rejected. But they're blowing up on women because the woman that they're asking out, they feel like she's beneath them. They don't respect them. And they already feel negatively towards her. And that's the reason why they're upset about being rejected.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
So we're going to review the video without further ado, and I'll insert my commentary.
There was a young lady that went into the group. She posted that, you know, she had went on this date with this guy. And so she showed everybody her, I guess, inbox of an exchange that her and this guy had after the date. So I'm guessing that the guy wanted to ask her out again. And so what ended up happening was she ended up telling the guy that, you know, she didn't want to go out with him again, you know, that he wasn't her type. And so what this guy said next was kind of like, I don't know, it was really weird because he didn't ask her why he wasn't her type. He just started making all these assumptions. So he was like, well, how come, you know, is it because I didn't give you money? Is that what you wanted? You wanted money? Did you just use me for a free meal?
How the hell do you invite me on a date?
All these broke trying to use.
Now I'm a...
I understand you. I'm saying these broke are trying to use their money, thinking they.
But you put me in the same category as them.
I'm not paying you category anyway. You need to. I don't know. It's still good though.
I thought you was playing at first, but you're really not gonna buy me no food. And you're really not gonna take me home. You want me to sit here and stare at you while you eat?
I'm saying we having dinner.
No, you having dinner. I'm sitting here looking stupid.
You know, he was just hurling out all of these accusations just out of nowhere on this girl. And so the girl...
So here's what's going on. The date must have went really well. In his mind, in her mind, it did not go well. I do agree that women out of safety shouldn't say whether the date went well or not, or agree to a future date or not, or even be upfront with a guy in person because you don't know him and he may end up putting hands and paws on you. So I do agree with communicating, hey, you're not my type. It didn't go well. I don't want another date after you both have went your separate ways, just in case he has mental issues. And the fact that he is throwing out accusations, he probably does have mental issues. He probably does have something going on in him where he's immediately throwing out accusations and upset, as opposed to understanding that, well, okay, she doesn't want me. She saved me from possibly drama down the road because she doesn't want me. She did me a favor by turning me down. I'm going to accept the rejection and go on to someone else. But here's the thing. He more than likely wasn't dating with the purpose of marriage, friendship, or wanting to get to know her. He was dating with the purpose of trying to give her the D. Whereas with her, she probably was going on the date just to get to know him, have a good time, and see where things go. So here's what the man should have done to prevent possibly getting to this point where he's surprised after the date's over with. He slid in her DM and they talked and agreed to go on a date. The thing about Instagram Messenger, I don't really use it. I don't really use Facebook Messenger. I don't really use the whole Messenger app period. But the thing about text is it's very difficult to have attractiveness, attraction, and even flirt with somebody over text where it will translate into real life with something going down. It's very difficult to do that. It can be done. It's possible, but not probable. So what he should have been doing is once he secured the date, he should have set up some type of FaceTime or some type of way to talk to her on the phone through the app so that he could flirt with her and make sure that what he is wanting, he has an increased chance of getting. Because he more than likely just wanted to give her the D. And that's okay if that's what he wanted, that's what his intentions are. But if that's all he really wants was to give her the D or to make sure he got something in return for this experience, he needs to be flirting. He needs to be upfront with what he wants, especially through the messaging, maybe even trying to have some type of contact before the date, FaceTime, like I just said, flirt, get to know her to see if she is quote unquote that type of girl. And then when it comes time for the actual date, they should be meeting in the parking lot and then walking in together. He should make that clear. Hey, we can meet in the parking lot, walk in together. If she's like, no, I want to meet inside because of safety reasons, I don't want you to know what my vehicle is. He needs to be meeting her before going to the hostess to get seated. At least meet her there and be like, hey, can we talk for a minute? And if she's like, no, I just want to sit down and eat. Okay. They go to the table, and what he needs to do is he has to slow the date down. And what I mean is, it's clear that he's not trying to really spend money on this date unless something's going to be reciprocated. Understandable. So what he needs to do is he needs to slow this thing down and stall as much as possible before ordering anything, including appetizers. She more than likely will be like, well, I want to order some wine before my meal. I'm hungry. I want to order appetizer. He needs to keep dragging his feet with ordering and try to flirt with her, try to get to know her, try to even make physical contact somehow. He needs to get those choosing signals, because if he doesn't get the choosing signals, it's more than likely that all she wants to do is eat. And if she's not cracking a smile, not giving any eye contact, she's not being friendly, she may be there just to eat. And it's possible that all she wants to do is use you for dinner. And then after dinner with you, she's going off to be with who she really wants to be with.
Wow.
And that does happen. That does happen. So him slowing the date down and trying to figure out things based off of her body language, her facial expressions, how the vibe is, he can get all that. And then at that point, he can say, you know what? Things aren't going the way I want them to go. I'm going to abort the mission. And here's just some dinner etiquette. When it comes to going to dinner with someone, you don't want to be starved or destitute, because it's understood that if you're going out with somebody, you're sharing a meal with them, but it's not to eat. It's to talk with this person, share experience with this person, get to know this person. It's all about you two sharing the meal. If she puts the focus on her hunger and puts her focus on the meal, that's probably all she's there for. Because there's no sense in her going somewhere with a stranger, starving or being extremely hungry if she doesn't know who you are and doesn't know how things are going to go. So she's only interested in the meal or the restaurant. And you really will know this if you decide to keep going forward. You both order your meals. And then while waiting for the food, you're trying to sit next to her. You're trying to crack jokes. You're trying to be friendly and flirty. And she's just like not feeling you, not feeling it. Now, her personality could be somebody who doesn't like to have someone in her space, doesn't like to have contact. She doesn't know you. She doesn't feel comfortable. And if these things are true, or she's just not giving you the vibe you want, it's more than likely you want to cut the cord and end the date. Now, most women will be like, well, I'm just here for a good time. I want to get to know you, not take things too fast, too far. If you are a man and all you want is DATE, D at the end, you got to be upfront with your flirting, upfront with your intentions. You got to be upfront. You got to put yourself out there and be willing to accept rejection during the date so that you know exactly what's going to happen after the date. Because a lot of women, they feel or believe that because he asked me out, he should pay for his meal and pay for mine. I do believe that if a guy asks a woman out on a dinner date, lunch date, or whatever, that he should pay for her meal because he's somewhat inconveniencing her. And what I mean is she would not be at this establishment had you have not asked her out. Or if she's like, okay, we're talking in Instagram, Messenger, how about we meet up somewhere? And if he agrees and he wants to go out with her, he needs to communicate, hey, are we going to go Dutch? Because if he doesn't communicate that, be prepared to pay for her meal. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, I think it's dusty for a man to go out with a woman and not pay for her meal. I believe that too, which is why you as a man need to be upfront with what your intentions are. Be upfront, flirt, get the choosing signals, find out what the vibe is. And if you're trying to be really cutthroat, if you're trying to be really savage and you don't want to pay for her meal, then during the course of eating, you need to ask the waiter or waitress to separate the checks. Now, if you do this, here's what might happen. You might be dealing with a woman who's like, oh, you want to separate the checks? She might argue with you. She might debate, or she might do a dine and dash, meaning she's like, okay, she's going to go to the bathroom and she heads to the door and goes home. And now, even though you're going to pay for your ticket, because you're sitting with her, the restaurant is going to be expecting you to pay because you're with her. So either way, it's more than likely you're going to be paying for her meal unless you really want to go through the struggle and fight of not wanting to pay for this meal. If you're really hard up on cash where you don't want to pay for her meal, then you don't need to be going on dinner dates just because of that risk.
You suck.
I know. You're upset at what you're hearing. On the flip side of that, I'm going to say this much. We as men, we tend to have to go on lots of dates to get what we want, even if it's dating with the purpose of marriage. Women do as well. Women have to spend money on makeup, getting their hair done, wigs, clothes, as far as outfits. That's understandable. But we as men, there's no benefit in our eyes just to simply go out with somebody. So for a woman, she can go out, get fixed up. She spends money on that. She still is going to take pictures of herself for her Instagram. She's still getting out the house because she's bored. She's still eating. She's still having fun. A woman does get a reciprocation inside of herself going on this date, especially if she enjoys the food, enjoys the establishment, enjoys the wine. She takes pictures. She looks good and she has things to brag to her friends about. Whereas men, we don't really care about taking pictures. We don't really care about experience. Whatever our intentions are, that's exactly what we want. So if we as men are going on 10 dates, and let's say we're paying for the woman on each of these dates, it may be the same woman or a different woman. If we're going on 10 dates and the ticket that comes out, just to make it easy math, it's $20 for the total ticket. And I'm just saying it's usually it may be like 80 or more, but we'll say 20 to make it easier as far as the math. If he goes on 10 dates in a month and it's $20 each time he goes out. 20 times 10 is $200. He is spending $200 to go on all these dates, and it might not go the way he wants. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And so this is the Asset Attitude Show. This is a place to develop a wealth mindset, learn how to make money work for you, and increase your value. So spending $200 on all these dates, unless this money is coming from an asset class like passive income, unless you just want to enjoy the dinner and the restaurant yourself, if you're wanting to get kitty or something in return from her, this is not the asset attitude. That $200 in the scenario I gave, you would get a better return putting it into a treasury bill, stock market, or ownership of a business, bond, an endowment policy, peer-to-peer loan, real estate, maybe even a commodity, one of the 5 asset classes. You would get more of a return with that. You would also get more of a return by putting it into a gym membership, gas tank. There is less risk and a greater return putting that into yourself. But we as men, we want women. Let's not be facetious. We want women. If you want to increase your return and decrease your risk, you got to do the flirting. You got to be direct with what you want. If the vibe is not there, that is when you either say, you know what, I want to end the date. I'm not going to order anything, and you go home, or ask her directly, like, hey, are you feeling me? You know what I'm saying? If she's like, yeah, you're all right. You order the food comes out while you're eating, ask her like, hey, what are your plans after this? If she's like, I don't know, be direct and be upfront with her. I want you to go with me somewhere else. If she's like, I don't know, I'll let you know, and split the checks right there. If it's that big a deal as far as paying for her dinner, then you may want to do that at that point. And you see how he is slowing things down. He has in his mind what his intentions are, and every step of the way, he's seeing what the temperature is to see, okay, will this go the way I want? If not, I'm going to abort the mission. That's what you should do if that's what you're about. Me personally, I think if he can't afford to pay for her meal or anyone else's meal, he shouldn't be dating. He should be using money that comes from returns from assets to pay for these dates. So he's not using active income, he's using passive income. Because if a man has a good woman in his life, he can go far, especially if she's a cheerleader, if she's wife material, and she has the same mindset as him. So with all this talk of going on dinner dates and dating, getting to know each other, what do you bring to the table? Liabilities and expenses. Okay, let me see what the balances are. Here are some things that I think are worth putting money into, especially with the economy being the way it is. People are having to make ends meet using credit cards, going on dates with credit cards. Using a debit card online is considered detrimental. The 4 credit card companies are American Express, Visa, Mastercard, Discover. This is American Express. This is how it's been doing for the last 5 years. So the making of this is May 21st. The markets are closed. However, in the last 5 years, you can kind of see the way it's been going. And in the last year, it seems like it dips down towards the summer months, and before it picks back up before the school months, which is like August, October, September, and around that time. That's usually when people start spending money. People also will spend money, I'm going to say around this time in May, to pay for vacations coming up. But because times have been hard because of COVID, inflation, and different things, people really haven't been spending money during the summer and taking trips. But people are always going to put money on credit cards. Credit card companies are always going to make money. So I think investing in all 4 credit card companies is a smart move. American Express closed at a little bit south of 153, and it's been down this past year, but I do think it's going to have a return on investment. Next is Visa. They closed a little bit north of 233. They've been doing pretty okay for last 5-year period and looking at them for a year, they're no different than American Express. Same thing with Mastercard, a little bit higher, a little bit north of 385. The past year, they've had the same trend as the other credit card companies. And Discover, which is a little bit more reasonable for having a barrier of entry south of 101, going down during the summer months and picking back up during the school months. So this does not constitute legal or financial advice. I'm not a stockbroker. I'm not an investment banker. If you want one of those, get one of those for entertainment purposes only. Around the summer months, that's when stuff gets cheaper as far as the barrier of entry for price. And we're kind of going on that right now. That's for all three of them. If you're going to jump in, now would be a good time. If you're wanting to wait, right before the Christmas season is looking pretty good. Same thing for Mastercard. Right before the Christmas season is a good time to get in. And I think the reason for that is right before Christmas, you got your Black Friday, or you got people really putting money into Thanksgiving. And then once Black Friday comes right around here, that's when stuff ticks up because a lot of companies go from being in the red all throughout here. And then they go really low. And then they go into the black during Christmas for holiday season. And then they continue to have profits for the rest of the year until you start to see somewhat of the top point right here. And then it starts to decrease right before the summer months, and we rinse and repeat. And as you can see, American Express is no different, where Black Friday is normally when they make the money. Stuff goes up and up and up, then declines when it starts to go down to the summer months. And then you get a little spike here, but overall it's going down right before school starts. Then when school starts, it goes back up. So we're talking about the barrier to entry. So in my opinion, you're going to see a profit when the price rises. So the best time to get in is school starting right before Black Friday, and that way you can get a return on investment. We're long-term investors here, so wherever you get in, if one of the four or all four, or if you put it on your watch list, you should start getting returns every year around those time frames. Right after school starts and right after the Black Friday, before it goes down and then picks back up. All right. And so in addition to the credit card companies, I threw in Bank of America. I didn't include all of the financial institutions. I just included one of the ones that I use. And so Bank of America, all the banks pretty much do it the same thing. But if you notice, with Bank of America, that is really, really cheap for a bank. And it's probably because a lot of the banks are starting to fail. There's people taking run on with the banks, taking money out of fear due to inflation. And you got the war going on with Ukraine. You got that. The election season's coming up. So the banks are not going to really be that expensive to get in. And as you can see, looking at it as far as a trend, it's better to go to the last 5 years because we had a lot of unexpected things like COVID and whatnot. And also you got the migrant caravan at the south border. That's playing a factor. But as you can see, looking at it from 5 years, pretty much the trend always stays the same with how they do financially. So the best time to get in would be right now, because at the making of this, is 2811 right here, but normally it's going to be 38. It's going to be, But this time last year, it was higher. So the barrier of entry is going lower and lower, and it's more than likely going to get even better as far as getting into right before school starts, just like with the credit card companies. So if you wanted to get in right before school starts, right before Black Friday and Christmas, and if you want to wait even after that, the best time would be during April, where you see that it dips down there and then the barrier of entry is easier to get into. A little bit north of 30 in July, and it was south of 30 October, and then a little bit north of 27, and that was March 24th. So there really isn't a rhyme or reason when it comes to this outside of inflation and other market conditions, because people who are investors, they'll get afraid and they'll start selling due to speculation, and then it seems like the trend happens every year that the whales or the big people like Warren Buffett and the rest of them, they put out a statement and then people get afraid and start selling. And it seems like they do that type of thing all the time. And again, this does not constitute legal or financial advice. I'm not an investment banker. I'm not a stockbroker. If you want one of those, get one of those. It's for entertainment purposes only. All right. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share your social media, subscribe, click the notification bell, share. I'm Kay. This is the Asset Attitude channel. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.